Good afternoon. This is Joy News Today, and I am Samuel Kojo Brace. Coming up in this bulletin, Supreme Court describes as unconstitutional directive from the presidency that asked former Auditor General Daniel Domelevo to proceed on leave. Also, more than 7 million SIM cards to be deactivated by the National Communication Authority if users fail to register them. And more survivors of the Tuesday morning road crash at Gomwa of Treko continue to share details of the accident. There's business, sports news, and showbiz in this package. Please stay for details. This is your home of independent, credible, and fearless journalism. Please, let's get details of the stories now. The Supreme Court has, in a unanimous decision, described as unconstitutional the directive from the presidency that asked former Auditor General Daniel Domelevo to proceed on leave. The court also described as unconstitutional the president's appointment of an acting Auditor General while there was a substantive Auditor General. It will be recalled that the presidency in July 2020 asked then Auditor General to proceed on leave. When Mr. Daniel Domelevo pointed this out as unlawful, his leave was further extended from 123 days to 167 days. 9 civil society groups sued the Attorney General over these directives, and after more than 2 years, the court has agreed with them. Legal Affairs correspondent Joseph Akabley joins me with more details. Joseph, what does this decision really mean? We know Daniel Domelevo has since retired.
The court fell short of issuing any orders in that regard. The reason being that it said that those orders will be moot because Daniel Domelevo has since actually retired per the date that he had contended was actually his retirement date. And so as a result of that, he has retired. That is one. On the other issue of the orders that were issued, the restrictions that were to be imposed, because the point had been made that the president should be injuncted from directing someone else to act as acting Auditor General. And again, the point being made that in terms of Daniel Domelevo himself, he should be restrained from taking the leave. And so those were the outstanding reliefs that the court took the view that, in view of the fact that he had actually proceeded on the leave as he had been directed to do so, he had been on the leave for a number of days and has since actually retired per the date that he himself had said he was going to retire. Then it meant that this was a matter that was moot, and so it was not going to issue any directives in that regard. But that notwithstanding, its conclusions are to the effect that, one, that letter that was written by Secretary to the President, Nana Asante Bediatu, on behalf of the President, asking Daniel Domelevo to proceed on leave, was unconstitutional. Again, the directive that asked that Johnson Ekwuamwesiedu act in his stead as acting Auditor General is also deemed to be unconstitutional. The court, per the arguments that were put before it, were to the effect that this was an independent state institution which could not be managed in a manner that the presidency had sought to do, exercising disciplinary control over it. And so, yes, this may be an academic exercise at this point in time, but it has an effect going forward on how the government and the presidency, for that matter, relates to an independent organization or state agency like the Office of the Auditor General.
Stay at the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court has, in a unanimous decision, declared as unconstitutional the law that allowed government to impose restrictions during the COVID-19 pandemic. Parliament in 2020 passed the Imposition of Restrictions Act to allow restrictions provided for in Article 21 of Ghana's 1992 Constitution to be enforced. This law formed the basis for the president to restrict public gatherings, shut down schools, impose measures to guide religious gatherings, among others. Law professor and human rights advocate Kwajo Appiagyei-Etua, along with 8 others, dragged the government to the Supreme Court, contending the said law was unconstitutional. Joseph is still with us. Joseph, how would the court have preferred such restrictions to be imposed?
In fact, the arguments that Professor P.A.J. Tuah put before the court were to the effect that there are two constitutional provisions. There's the Article 21 part and there's also the Article 31. Now, his argument was that the two need to operate together in a manner such that the law that is passed to impose restrictions does not suspend human rights. He makes the point that the Imposition of Restriction Act effectively gave government and the presidency, for that matter, a blank check. And so, as and when they wanted to issue executive instruments to impose restrictions, they were just issuing them. And he believed that it was not the thinking of the framers of the Constitution that in the interest of maintaining public safety due to a pandemic, it will amount to more or less setting aside the rights of individuals entirely. And so he had taken the view that the process under Article 31 were more elaborate and acted as checks. And so it was not an automatic one. The president, for instance, would have to consult the Council of State and declare emergency powers that effectively do not set aside human rights, but simply put them on hold for the time being and is subject to limitations. And so that was the argument that they put before the court, which the court upheld and came to the conclusion that the Imposition of Restrictions Act that was passed by Parliament was unconstitutional. We know that the president over the weekend, on Sunday specifically, announced that all restrictions had been lifted. But the Imposition of Restriction Act is still a law that was in force. But as of today, it has been set aside. And so what it means is that should there be an outbreak of COVID-19 today and the government takes the view that they would want to impose some restrictions, they cannot do so under the Imposition of Restrictions Act because the Supreme Court has come to the conclusion that it is unconstitutional, null and void, and of no effect.
Joseph, the acting Chief Justice had some comment to make on the tag unanimous FC and the decision delivered today.
In fact, it was in a comment that he made in relation to the lawyer who represented Professor P.A.J. Tuah in this particular matter, Dr. Justice Remsai. We know that the court has over the period been described as a unanimous FC. And so after he had read the decision, he remarked that, I guess this time around, it's unanimous FC for a good cause. And that got a number of people in the courtroom laughing about that. But yes, there have been two main unanimous decisions that have come from the Supreme Court today. The first being the one about Daniel Demelovu, and the second being the one that has set aside the restrictions. But it's important to note that these decisions have come in too late because these cases were filed in 2020, and so it more or less has provided guidelines to guide the nation going forward rather than to have the real impact and the effect that the persons who took this particular matter had wanted it to have.
Right, Joseph, thank you very much joining us from the Supreme Court there. Now, in less than 12 hours, 7.4 million SIM cards, which have not been linked to the Ghana card of the holders, will be deactivated by the National Communication Authority. According to the Chamber of Telecommunications, this figure includes SIM cards which have gone through only one stage of the registration process and those that have not been linked to the Ghana card at all. Dr. Ken Ashibe is Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Telecommunications.
Timeline given was that by the end of today, if you have not registered at all, completed your SIM registration at all, then you would be deactivated. Your number you'll be barred. So from tomorrow, you will not be able to make a call. You will not be able to receive a call. You will not be able to do SMSs. You will not be able to do data services. You would not. You will not have access to your mobile money. Your mobile money would be put into an account, a separate account for you, so that you might have to go through some processes to have access to it, but you will not be able to do mobile money transactions. You might just have to go and collect your money, but you won't be able to do mobile money transactions. But we also are cognizant of the fact that some people might have applied for the Ghana card but have not received it. So for people like that, or people, maybe somebody you're living in Boku, and so because of the conflict, you might not have been able to get your Ghana card or get the SIM registered. Maybe you are not in this country and you are unable to register. All of these people, that information has gone out long ago that you just have to reach out to the NTA. If you reach out to the NTA will then look into your case, and then the NTA would ask the telcos to whitelist your number so your number will not be blocked. That information was put out some time back. So the onus lies on any subscriber that has a peculiar reason why they could not register to make that call to the NTA through all the NTA channels, and the NTA would then advise and direct the telcos on whitelisting your number. But if you don't do that, then you stand the risk of losing your number. Said what they will do is that the money will be put into a particular account. So what would happen is that if you need to go and retrieve it, you would have to go and provide evidence, and the money will be given to you. But you will not be able to transfer money using your mobile money account again. But you will not, working together with the central bank, your money will be set aside for you in a particular wallet. So you will be able to get access to it, but you will not be able to transact mobile money businesses. So from us at the close of yesterday, you were looking at around approximately 7.4 million people who are still within this particular bracket.
For those who have had some strange numbers linked to their cards, we are told that they are going to be deactivated. Do we know which of these have been delinked so far?
Oh, it's a fluid process. So what you need to do is when you dial *402*1#, it would show you, it will ask you questions for you to provide your Ghana card and all of that. When you do that, it will show you the numbers that might be linked to your number. You need to check very well, because sometimes, for me, for example, when I did it, I saw a particular number that I thought was strange, but apparently that was the Chamber's mobile money account, which had been done using my card. So you need to be sure about those numbers. If you really think it's not yours, then you go to any of the operators, and then you have the numbers linked. And so that has been going on. And so those numbers keep on, and what happens is that if the number is not yours, that number would completely be delinked, and it will be taken as fraudulently registered. So it will be completely lost.
Now to other stories, and more survivors of the Tuesday morning road crash at Gomwa Ochireko on the Accra Cape Coast Highway have started sharing details of how a Ford tanker rammed into their car, killing some passengers, including a baby. It's still unclear the number of people who died. The Winneba Fire Service has been quoting some figures. Now, the commander says 16 people were sent to the morgue. Other first responders also say 6 persons died on the spot. Maxwell Agbagba reports.
I am at the bus terminal where the driver of the U-turn bus was headed. Here, I've met an executive member of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Bob Hagan. He lost his friend, Clement Ejapon, and 2 others. He was at the morgue to see them. He says a dual carriageway for major highways is the solution to the many deaths on Ghana's roads.
The conductor is the one leading the car from Liberia to Ghana. So yesterday he called around 8 o'clock in the morning that he had a label. So when they go through with the custom processing, they decide to even rest for some time. So we are all expecting him latest this morning by even 8 o'clock. That is Clement Ejapon's body. One leg, one hand, the body has been divided into 2. So it's very painful. It's very, very painful. My brother and friend and colleague died a painful death. I wish him, may the good Lord keep him in the Abraham bosom. But one thing I noticed is our road is single road. If this road is going to be something double road, I think sometimes the way our bus driver was dodging this tanker driver, because the tanker driver misses road, he loses control. So our bus driver, that's Musa, was trying to dodge.
Behind me is the U-turn bus that was involved in the crash being towed away. Even as it is towed away, some residents and colleagues of the people who died in that crash cannot control their emotions here.
One of the people who died in the crash, Clement Ejapon, worked with Babs Transport.
5,000 children in the Talensi district of the Upper East region have no school furniture. They sit street route or even on the ground to study. The 12-year-old Haruna Karim, a student of St. Joseph's School, Kare, says the lack of basic infrastructure makes learning unappealing. Features editor Jojo Kobna has more into this episode of Ghana's Schools of Shame.
My name is Martina, and my school is that when the Chinese people always black, the board always shake, and when the master is writing, the hand always shake.
My name is Atua Hega. I am in from JHS1. Some are sitting outside, some are sitting in the floor, and some also are sitting in.
Martina and Hagan, JHS2 students, speak for over 500 children at the St. Anthony School in Gbane, a community in the Talensi district of the Upper East region. The children have tolerated the sounds of rock blasting and dust from the Shanji mining site for many years. The school was previously located where the mining site currently operates, but the children were relocated when gold was discovered close to their school land. But with time, the mining company started mining close to the school when it discovered more gold. The company built a 3-unit classroom block which currently accommodates the lower primary.
If rain also falls, the rain also is coming, so we always go to the next people's class.
While students at the JHS level study under a simple mud shed which has developed spiraling cracks like the spider web, or more appropriately, shattered glass. The blackboards have developed large cracks that can contain the feet of a 6-year-old, while the top edge of the blackboard is partly chopped off and jagged. Parts of the roof also badly ripped off. Some parts of the wall completely fallen, but the children risk their lives daily, all in the name of education. But that is not the only concern here. Atanga Janet, a student at the school, says challenges here are overwhelming.
Sometimes our teachers cannot even come because of they are not quarters in the school. And when they are not quarters, they will bring their motors in and out. And when they do not have money to buy fuel, they can't come. Or when rain falls, they can't also come to the school. So we want quarters for our teachers. And we do not have chairs. We do not have enough chairs. We do not have enough books. And we do not have enough classes. And we are...
Indeed, a basket full of challenges.
Some of us are sitting on stones. Some of us are also sitting on floors. And the chairs, when the stones are, the town is not floors. So when the stones are shaking the chairs, when you are writing, it disturbs the writing. And when
Azumateng Vida is part of a citizen group that has been demanding social accountability at the local level.
Because they need this place for their work, they decided to build another one for our students. So the elders showed them a land that is opposite here. So they finished building, but it was left with small. But about some few months ago, they stopped operating on the school and they were not working on it, and they've locked the place. There's a security there. Meanwhile, JSS from 1 to 3 were suffering with the sun.
A non-governmental organization specializing in education, School for Life, brought them together to address the needs of the school. Under its citizen-led action for educational accountability and responsiveness project, members of the citizens group have held a series of engagements with authorities at the District Education Office and the Talensi District Assembly, but their needs are yet to be addressed.
We wrote letters to the elders around, the police, the assemblymen, the DC, and then the education directors.
Residents say the mining company promised them a new classroom block.
Data from the Ghana Education Service shows that only 33.6% of pupils in the Northern region have furniture to sit on and study. About half of these furniture are found in primary schools. Northern Regional Statistics Officer at the Ghana Education Service, Al-Hassan Seibu, has described the situation as worrying. There's more in this report.
The forum brought together civil society organizations, the Ghana Education Service, and government representatives to deliberate on the furniture challenge in the northern region and propose solutions to help address the challenge. In the presentation, the Northern Regional Statistics Officer at the Ghana Education Service, Alhassan Shaibu, added that the situation at the junior high school was much better, with 73.3% having dual desks.
So if we look at the pattern over the period, you see that the pattern looks almost fairly distributed. And junior high schools currently, as has been reported, they have about 73.3%, and we have 44% for primary, and then 33.6% for kindergarten. For kindergarten, enrollment currently stands at 881, and of that number, we have 52,643, and that gives us a 33.6%. So we have a shortage. So in total, about 104,238 children are currently either perching with somebody or sitting on the ground.
Country Director of Action Aid, John Onko, on his part raised concerns over the continuous dwindling of budget allocation to the education sector.
It is worthy of note that these challenges mentioned can be addressed only if budget allocation to the educational sector, for example, the basic education sector, is enhanced. It is, however, sad to note that the basic education budget line, represented by the allocation of goods and services to basic education, from which capitation grant, basic education certificate subsidy, feeding grants to special schools, among others, are financed, saw a decline from 292 million cedis in 2022 to 167 million cedis in 2023 budget.
The Northern Regional Minister, Shani Alhassan Shaibu, in his address, commended Action Aid for the forum and directed all MMDAs in the Northern region to fashion out effective plan at the district level to ensure furniture for all pupils in their area.
Mr. Chairman, the furniture situation in the region, especially in our basic schools, is indeed quite dire. We need to act immediately whilst we seek attention from the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service. Our MMDAs have to avert their minds to the situation and also take action to tackle the situation. The situation we find ourselves raises fundamental issues about the effectiveness of our planning at the MMDA level. To address these critical issues in education, I wish to direct all MMDAs in the region to fashion out effective plans to ensure furniture for all pupils in our basic schools in the region.
Relative calm returned to the mining town of Obuasi after a standoff between a group of illegal miners and a police military team called to maintain order. This follows the arrest of some illegal miners who invaded one of the underground tunnels of AngloGold Ashanti. It took a reinforced police military team who responded with a warning shot to disperse the angry miners, who smashed windows and windscreen of a bus and a pickup vehicle belonging to AngloGold Ashanti. Ohiming Teria, who is in Obuasi, joins us on the phone now with more update. So Ohiming, kindly give us an update of what's happening there since you are there.
Yes, Kwajo, the calm here, there's peace in the Obuasi community, and residents are going about their normal business in the community. I have been told, I've been speaking to eyewitnesses who are familiar with the illegal miners who are said to be allegedly trapped in that mining pit. The information being put out by an eyewitness has also been corroborated by an executive member of the Small Scale Miners Association here in Obuasi, indicating that indeed the miners, as being speculated, were not indeed trapped as being speculated. Let me speak to an eyewitness who was at the scene yesterday. So fill me in. Yeah. There's this information that over 300 illegal miners were trapped under these tunnels of Angogo Ashanti, Obuasi Mine. You were there. Fill us in. What actually happened?
Okay, certainly. Let me first touch on the number. And for avoidance of doubt, I just received a press release from the mine. It confirmed the numbers we had yesterday night, meaning about 83 persons. As we were told, yes, 83. But for now, the official release says there are about 79 persons that have been rescued from the unapproved tunnel. So for now, it was erroneous to say 300. The confirmed number is 79 persons has been rescued, and they are now in the custody of the police. So the 300 out there was erroneous.
So, was it true that the illegal miners were trapped in the mining pit?
Silently, no. That's not the case. I believe they weren't trapped, as was speculated in the media. But the real issue was that they were allowed to pass through or to exit through the official tunnel called Kodor. But they were hesitant because they had a fear that they would be arrested upon their arrival at the exit door. So it can't be the case of a trapped incident, but rather they were hesitant, knowing very well they'll be arrested upon their arrival at exit.
So how true is information? Because the information that I picked from the executive member of the Small Scale Miners Association that the illegal miners were being begged to come out of the pit voluntarily, but they declined. Can you confirm this?
Yes, I can confirm. Yesterday I was there myself and a host of other journalists from other parts of the country were there. And at some point, we went there closer to the exit door, at the Kodor, pleading with our colleagues to come out. And certainly, they also pleading, begging the police and the officials there to intervene.
Intervene in what sense?
Because they are sure that when they exit, they'll be arrested. So they wanted the Honorable DC and leadership that were present there to intervene and plead on their behalf.
So, how come it was being speculated that over 300 illegal miners have been trapped in a mining pit if they had alternative routes to escape?
Yeah, certainly. You see, it borders on emotions. And at that point, I believe they feared for their lives. So they wanted to send a very alarming notice to call the sympathy of the public and possibly maybe calm tempers down with the mine.
Let's talk about the standoff between security and these illegal miners who trooped and besieged the police station after their colleagues who were said to have been trapped in the mining pits were brought to the police station yesterday. What happened?
Yeah, I think upon the arrival of the first batch that were conveyed in the Toyota Coaster bus, there was some standoff between the illegal miners and the police personnel accompanying those arrested suspects at the Central Police Station. So at some point, they mass up at the very presence of the police station. And let me also emphasize on this. Upon the arrival of the military as a BFAF team, there were some exchanges. Some aggrieved person threw some stone or they pelted stones at the army. And as you know, the army wouldn't stand aloof. They also respond in equal manner. So they fired some shot to disperse the crowd there. As you can see, some other military are passing by. So they fired some shot to disperse the crowd, not to contain the tempest or to control the mass over there. So it's true, there was some standoff, but it was first initiated from the side of some aggrieved persons upon the arrival of the military.
Yes, and I also learned that in the process, some vehicles were vandalized.
I can confirm about 2 vehicles.
How did it happen?
Yeah, the first one was the coaster bus conveying the arrested suspect from Kodor to the police station. That bus got vandalized with the windscreens and virtually the tires were all got spoiled. So for that one I can confirm. The second one has to do with a personnel from Angogo Ashanti who was passing. So when he got to the roundabout, as you can see over here, some people attacked the personnel in that vehicle, smashed the windscreens. So in an attempt to run for his life, he let some some items in there. I'm told mobile phones and some cash in the vehicle. So they made away with those phones and money. So I can confirm 2 vehicles, the Costa Bus and the Toyota Hilux, or the high body.
So we learned that this was an epicenter of yesterday's incident. How chaotic was it?
Colleague Ohiming Teria in the town of Obuasi, and you saw behind them some exhibition of Ghana's potholes. Don't forget to tweet at us with the hashtag GHPotholes. Well, Vice President Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is mourning the passing of 85-year-old Madame Dari Pogo, a cured leper at Gurungu Motori in the Wa West Municipality, whose conditions were highlighted in a Joy News documentary in 2020. This triggered a national conversation which led the Vice President to provide the woman with a 2-bedroom house. I'll share with you a tribute from the Vice President soon. First, here's a story we told of the deplorable conditions of Madame Dari Pogo, which got the Vice President to intervene.
On a dirt compound is a thatched roofed mud house. Out of it, a frail-looking old woman emerges and walks towards a mango tree to get fresh air. Her name is Dari Poga, a woman possibly in her 80s, living alone in this part of the village with her 13-year-old granddaughter. Dari Poga suffered leprosy at a younger age, but at that time, she did not know what it was. She used local concoctions in the hope that she would recover, but over time, her condition worsened. She has lost all her 10 fingers, and from afar, you might think both hands have been amputated from the wrist. She remembers exactly how one after the other, she lost all her fingers.
Local medication, a black concoction she used to smear on the skin. Okay. Yeah, he used to smear on the body.
And did she know it was a medical condition or?
Say initially they sent her to Wa when the condition set in, and that time
So let's speak to our Power Regional correspondent Rafiq Salam, who has been following the story. Rafiq, what do we know so far?
The information that we've gleaned on indicates that Madame Dari Pogo passed on Saturday at home at Gurungu Motori in the West District of the Upper West Region. The funeral at the village already has started, and then the regional minister tomorrow is expected to be in the company of the DC and other members of the public to visit the family to mourn with them.
So the funeral is ongoing. The burial will be when?
As we are not sure of when the burial will take place, but it wouldn't be that long. Usually funerals like that doesn't prolong, and so it's when the minister gets to the place, and then that the family will brief him on the funeral arrangements of Dari Pogo, who is now 85 years of age.
All right, grateful to you. Rafiq Salam, grateful to you. Now, let's share with you the tribute coming in from the Vice President office. He wrote on Facebook this morning that I have received with sadness the death of my 85-year-old friend, Madame Dari Pogo, a cured leper whose deplorable conditions in Gurungu Motori in the West Municipality became a national conversation, and I provided her with a 2-bedroom house. I thank God for being able to put a smile on her face in the last years of her life. May Madame Dari's soul rest in peace. That's a post coming in from the Vice President's handle on Facebook. Two other stories now, and a group of motor riders have massed up at the Kenewu police station in Tema to demand the release of a driver arrested by the police for knocking down a motor rider last night. The riders say they want to exact their own justice on the suspect. One of the angry riders has been arrested. Joy News' Carlos Caloni is there for us.
A group of motor riders have actually gathered here at the police station. They are demanding that their colleague who has been arrested by the police yesterday should be released to them. And so we're going to find out from them why their brother was arrested and why they are making this demand. So you are live on Joy News. Why are you guys here this afternoon?
We are here with hunger, so much hunger. Because yesterday my junior brother was dead. So because we're fighting to get what is rightfully ours, and one of my brother happened to cross one of their car and they got him arrested and beat mercilessly. My problem here is he's very bleeding. You know, we need him to be taken to hospital. Number one, you understand, you can't take him there because he may also take what? His life. So we need him to be released, one. And secondly, we are Muslim. We don't keep our body for the next day. Hereby they've taken it and nothing is being doing about it. So we need our dead brother to be released so that we can bury him.
Okay, so tell us what actually led to your brother dying yesterday, briefly.
Yeah, because today, he does Okada. So he took some people towards Ashama. You understand? That was where the incident happened. So on his way going, that was where the car hit him up. You know, the one who saw the car hitting him, was hit by a car, the same car. So we are asking for justice.
So how many people got injured or died out of this particular?
Yesterday, about 3-4 people, I think. That was what I hear. Okay.
So that's what's happening here now. Now we do have the police who have actually arrived here. More police personnel have actually arrived here. As you can see in your scene there, you see the police chasing away some of the residents there. In your shot, where the motorbikes have been parked, we see a lot of bikes and the police are trying to push the residents away from the police station itself. So that is the situation here at the Kaneu police station here in the Tema West municipality, where residents have actually besieged this police station demanding that their colleague who has been arrested for trying to prevent the police from carrying out its illegal duties should be released to them, as well as the 18-year-old gentleman who died yesterday. They are actually making demand for his body to also be released to them since they are Muslims. So from the Kaneu police station here in the Tema West municipality, I'm Carlos Caloni.
That's a sad one there for the young man to die in that fashion. But this is still Joy News today. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we have latest from the world of business for you. Stay with us.
Hello, welcome to the business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kojo Baka. The Ghana National Petroleum Corporation is hoping to begin onshore drilling at Keta Basin in the Volta region next year. Now, this is part of moves by the national oil exploration firm to access oil and gas in the Voltairean Basin. Speaking to Joy Business, Executive Director for the GNPC Foundation, Dominic Edua, hinted that all efforts are being made to ensure the drilling is done without any negative environmental impact, since this will be the first onshore drilling to be done in the country.
GNPC is almost close to drilling on land. Yeah, that's what we call the Voltairean Basin project. Covering close about 45% of the total landmark of Ghana. So you can understand, we can't sit aloof and just wake up to drill on land. We need to get that close engagement with the people. We need to let them understand that the proceeds from the oil is being used to benefit them already, so that they can be part of us as partners in development. So that's the essence of the foundation. That's what we've been doing for the past 5 years. As I mentioned, our target 5 years ago is to ensure that when a socioeconomic assessment is done, we should be able to beat our chest and say that we've impacted no less than 10 million lives in Ghana. And that's exactly what we are embarking on.
You did mention about the drilling. How soon are we going to see it? Because we've been hearing about it since.
Oh, as my chief executive has mentioned, he's everywhere, and he has said that his target, that's Mr. Opoku Dankwa, his target is to drill next year. in the Vautin, and a lot of work is being done.
Is it achievable?
Very much achievable. A lot of work is being done towards that.
Now, the Techiman area office of the Northern Electricity Distribution Company in the Bono East region has been able to mobilize a total of 11.3 million Ghana cedis from the company's mass revenue mobilization exercise, which kick-started in April this year. Now, the exercise, which was aimed at retrieving all monies owed to the power consumers in NEDCO's catchment area, according to the Techiman area manager, John Tihairi, has been largely successful. Now, he's been speaking with my colleague Anas Sabit, who came through with this report.
The revenue mobilization exercise, which started in April this year, was said to help retrieve all monies owed by both major and minor consumers across NEDCO's catchment area. Even though the target at the start of this exercise was 65 million Ghana cedis, the company within this period managed to retrieve some 11 million Ghana cedis, representing 17% of the total debt owed by power users within the Techiman area. Area manager John Tyree described the exercise as successful, considering the fact that it is the first time in a year the company has exceeded its monthly billed revenue.
The 1 month exercise has been very beneficial to NEDCO as an organization. And you know, from the beginning, we told you in Techiman area we had about 106 million to collect. We intended collecting not less than 65 million. That was our target. As we speak, we couldn't do up to 65 million, but we did 11.3 million. Percentage-wise, that's about 17% of our debt that is owed us. You know, so we have done well for the first time in about a year. This is the only time we have exceeded our monthly billed revenue. So in a month we are billing between 6 and 8 million. But this month, since we started the revenue mobilization exercise, we have recovered 11.3 million. So that is in excess of 100%.
Mr. John Tyree disclosed that the exercise has not only improved the company's revenue, but also provided the company with the opportunity to establish some relationships with its consumers, and added that the only difficulty they faced is some few resistance from some state-owned enterprises, particularly hospitals in the area.
Nasabit filed that report. Ending the business segment on Joy News Today with me, Pius Kojobaka. Darrell Kwa will be here at 1 p.m. with the marketplace. Grateful serving you.
Muftau Nabila Abdullah here with sports on Joy News Today. After 16 years hiatus from the Ghana Premier League, Tano Bafakwa, they are making a return to the top flight of the country's football after defeating Techiman 11 Wonders 7-6 on penalties in the Division 1 Zone 1 playoff that took place at the Accra Sports Stadium on Tuesday. My colleague Razak Musbah was there and comes through with this report.
After 90 minutes, an extra time of football, it's all over here at the Accra Sports Stadium. The Division 1 Championship playoff has gone to the side of Bafokeng Tano. They are champions and they will be playing in the Ghana Premier League come next season. They joined Pando Heart of Lions and Nations FC to qualify for the Ghana Premier League come next season. It was a grueling football, 90 minutes of football action. They took the lead in the first half, but Techiman 11 Wonders equalized 1 minute into the second half. They equalized and the game traveled for 90 minutes. Tano Bafakeng, they dominated to the game. They had the better of the chances, hitting the post about twice in the game, scored 2 goals, which were all flagged for offside, but they kept the fight on into extra time. They could not find a goal, but on penalties, they managed to do what was necessary. They are winners of the Division 1, Zone 1 of the Ghana second tier, and they'll be playing in the Ghana Premier League come next season. The atmosphere is unbelievable, and for the fans of Tana Bafakwa, they are incredibly excited, and you could see the atmosphere is unbelievable. Here, the fans are all full with excitement. They say they deserve it, and they have fought for it. This is what it means for Tana Bafakwa.
After 16 years, they are back to the top flight of Ghana's football, and they'll be in the studio this afternoon. When we come your way with sports today, and their coach, their captain, and another player will be joining us to have a conversation on sports today. Bella, let's hear from Liverpool legend John Barnes. He sent an advice to Ghana's Mohamed Kudus, telling him not to move away from Ajax Amsterdam. Media reports suggested that Kudus has rejected a contract extension with Ajax, and John Barnes believes that it is important he stays at the club and develop more.
Well, that is nothing to do with Ghanaian players. That's to do with football generally. But I want to, so therefore, you talk about him, and I give this advice to a lot of young players. I use myself as an example, and when I played, you had to show a level of consistency over a period of time before you were transferred. Because, of course, when you're transferred, there's going to be a lot of pressure on you. And unless you're able to handle that pressure, or you're able to show that you can do this for a long period of time, not just 5 or 6 matches, I advise every player to learn their trade, to be disciplined, to be humble, to stay at their club for a long period of time to show that they can do that. But football is different now anyway, so it's changed. And we see that all the time, where a footballer has one good season and he gets transferred. So I know he has the potential, but you've got Ghanaian players from a way back as Abedi Pele. I remember I played against Abedi Pele when I was at Liverpool in 1987, when Abedi Pele was on trial at Bayern Munich. Of course, remember, you're at Marseille, but he had been going around Europe at different clubs, and he had that potential. And of course, from him, you see so many Ghanaian players. So nothing has really changed. Apart from players now move much sooner than they possibly are ready to move, but he definitely has the potential to play at as high a level as any of the other Ghanaian players.
John Barnes there advising Mohamed Kudus to consider staying at Ajax Amsterdam. This is how we wrap up sports here on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Up next is Showbiz.
Beautiful. No, that's how we wrap it all up. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Marketplace is up next.